Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Welcome to this video of variations, and thank you for choosing my channel. Now today we are going to solve two questions, one on direct variations and the second one on inverse variation. So let's go straight away. Question 4 right there says h varies directly to the cube of c. So that's the first thing you want to write down in such a case, h varying directly as the cube of c. That means power 3. That's the meaning of cube right there. So once you have the initial statement, what we can call the proportionality statement, we introduce an equal sign and a constant. So we'll say h equals to some constant multiplied by c cube. Now, once you have that, you go to the two values given, the initial set of values. What you can say are the initial conditions in this case. Use them to solve for k, okay? So for the initial conditions, h is 40 and c is 2. So we have 2 cubed multiplied by k. Okay. So from this setup, we know that if you want to find k, you're going to have to cross 2 to the other side. On the right side of this equation, 2 was multiplied. So on the left side, it's going to be divided. So it means k will be 40 divide 2 power 3. Okay. And from your calculator, 2 power 3 is 8. So 40 divided by 8. That's going to give us the value of k. That means k equals to 5. So this is the value of our constant. Once you have this, you can answer question A. Question A wants you to express h in terms of c. This is not a difficult thing to do. You just come back to where you introduce your equal sign and the constant and ensure you plug in your k value there. So it means h is going to be 5c to the power 3. So that's our answer. Let me just have it down there. H equals to 5c3. This formula is very important and it's all you need to solve any other part of such a question. Now let's move to the part B of this question. The saying find h when c is 5. So we just have to borrow our formula. So I'm borrowing that formula right there. And our formula says h is 5c power 3. So when c is 5, as we have been told in this part of the question, you can see it right there. What's the h value? So h equals to the constant 5 multiply c is 5 this time round cube. So I want to do 5 times 5 cubed or 125. If you do 5 cubed in your calculator, you'll find the answer to be 125. If you work that well, guys, you're going to end up with 625. 625 is the value for h when c is 5. Okay. Now, the best way to go through this video is once you watch it, you can try rewatching it again, but this time around you pause it at intervals as you try to solve before you resume watching the video to confirm your answers. Okay. Now, part C wants us to work out the value of c when h is 5,000. Now, again, just like the second part of the question, we just borrow the formula which says h equals to constant, which is 5c power 3. In this case, we want the value of h, of c when h is 5,000. So we can make c the subject, right? So first we ensure 5 crosses to the other side. Now on the right side, 5 is multiplied by c. That means on the left side it will be divided. You know, whenever a number crosses the equal sign, we get it gains the opposite of its original sign. So 5 multiplied c cubed. Now on the other side, it's gonna divide with h. So we'll have c cubed equals to h divide 5. Okay. Okay, that means C. Now, if we cross the power 3 to the other side, becomes a root. Okay. Anytime you cross a power to the other side of the equal sign, it becomes a root. So we can say C is the cube root of H, which is 5,000, all over 5. Okay. So C is the cube root of 5,000 over 5. That means if you divide 5,000 by 5, you end up with 1,000. So we need cube root of 1,000. Okay. And that you'll get to be a 10. So when H is 5,000, C is 10. Okay. Now, I think that will be the end of the direct variation question. Now let's look at this problem of inverse variation. See the difference. This question is now about inverse variation. And it says the force F newtons exerted by a magnet on a metal object is inversely proportional to the square of the distance d centimeters. So if F is inverse to the square of the distance, let me show you how we write that. Inverse variation, we write it this way, 1 over the other guy. Okay. So F is inversely proportional to square of d. Suppose this question was a direct variation question, we would have written it this way. I want you to know the difference. This is how our question could have been looking at this point. But now this is not direct variation, it's inverse variation. Okay, let's move on. Once you have your proportionality statement, like that, you introduce an equal sign and a constant. Okay, so we'll say F equals to some constant over the square of d. So we want to find the k. That means k equals to F multiplied by d squared. I want you to note one thing. We are multiplying F by d squared because if you cross a number which was divided on the right side, on the left side, it's going to be multiplied. And then now we want to use our first set of values to find k. Okay, so you just take the 2 centimeters there for distance and 50 newtons for force and plug it in this equation for k. Sorry. So we'll take 50 multiplied by, now d is 2 and it's squared. That's from this expression of k. That means you'll have 50 by 4. And that's going to give you 200. All right. Now, they want you to express F in terms of D. That is, if you read the question well, the part A of this question wants you to express F in terms of D. Just like the previous questions that we did, you'll take this, this expression right here, which had a K, then you write it with the value of K plugged in. Okay. So in this case, we'll say F equals to K is 200 all over the square of D. This is the answer to this question. We have expressed F in terms of D. Now, let's look at the second part of this question. It says, find the force when the distance between the magnet and the metal object is 10 centimeters. So you're given the distance. The distance is 10 centimeters. They want the force. So all we can do in the rest of the question, I mean like such questions, you just borrow your formula. So if I borrow this formula down here, I can find F. Given the distance is 10 centimeters, we'll have 200 divided by 10 squared. And then if you do that well, it will be 200 divided by 100 because 10 squared is 100. It's going to be 200 divide 100. And as you can see, your answer is going to be 2 newtons. All right. Let's move to the part C of this question, which says, find the distance between the magnet and the metal object when the force is 8 newtons. Now, same way, just borrow the formula which says force equals to 200 over d squared. Okay. Now, in this case, they want the distance. So number one thing we want to do, we have to make the distance to be the subject of our formula. Okay. So we can take distance to the other side to be multiplied, because on this side it was divided. On the other side, when it crosses the equal sign, it becomes multiplied. So we'll have f multiply d squared equals to 200. Remember, we want d to be isolated. So we take f to the other side. Now f was multiplied. When it crosses to the other side, it becomes divided. So d squared is going to be 200 divide f. Okay. And the final step is to remove the square, the second power of d there, move it to the other side. Now, if you move a power, it becomes a root. So d equals to the square root of 200 divide f. Remember, the root is for everything else that was on the other side of the equal sign. So this is going to be 200 divide, the force in this question given is 8. Okay. So you take 200 divide 8, you'll find 25. It's going to be root 25, and root 25 is 5 centimeters. That's our answer for D. Okay, guys, so we'll meet in the next video, and I hope this one becomes helpful when you're preparing for your main exams.
Audio Jungle.